Look, I've got 8 employees. None of them are human. Total salary cost, 0. And this week my engineer fixed a bug that was blocking my entire pipeline in 3 minutes. They don't sleep, they don't call in sick, and they just audited my whole company in parallel while I made a coffee. So Paperclip is open source, completely free, and you can literally install it in 60 seconds. It's basically an orchestration layer, so think of it as like an office environment for your AI agents. And for someone like me who's a one-man band, this is perfect for kind of setting up my business and making it way more productive than it would be with just me on my own. So with Paperclip, you can run Claude Code manually, one task at a time, and as you know, if you've used Claude Code, you'll end up with lots of different chats doing lots of different things. So this is kind of your manager office room where you can keep everything in one place one time, talking to each other, doing tasks, as you just seen one pop up on screen right now, which is great. So it's got a heartbeat system, which is similar to what OpenClaw was trying to achieve or did achieve, went viral with it. It's basically like keeping all your agents alive and working while you're off doing whatever you're doing. So this isn't a toy. This is how companies will probably likely run in the next 12 months. So I've got my CEO here. They do my sprint planning, hiring. So they hired the whole team for me, prioritization, all that sort of stuff. I've got engineering intel. They're doing my Cortex Brief, which is one of my products. Threat Scanner, again, one of my products. And also Sintra Micro, again, another of my products. Media Engineer, which is doing this channel, Territory Logic. And also does my kind of teleprompter, bullet points, all that sort of stuff for me, which is great. I've got a QA who reviews every code change before it ships. Content person who shows scripts, thumbnails, metadata, all that sort of stuff. I've got an ops person who monitors all the services, tracks budgets, all that sort of great stuff. Sales, runs through lead discoveries and outreach campaigns because I've got a lot of those running. And then I've got a growth person who does all my SEO, marketing, gets products in front of customers, all that sort of stuff. So this isn't like anything hypothetical. This is my actual company right now. So their agents are working. I've been using them for the last 3 days now. So I'm still discovering a few things here and there, but so far so good. So yeah, if you're a person like me and you want to expand or scale, then this is the perfect tool for you. And if you're a company that's already got a few employees and want to scale, you can add additional employees through here, or you can kind of combine the two. So all you need to do to install Paperclip is go to the webpage, and I'll link that in the description below, and I'll put a screenshot of it on screen now. And you scroll down and it will give you a terminal input. So all you need to do is open your terminal up and input that, and it will start running for you. It takes no time at all, 60 seconds. You can choose whether to run it on Claude or other applications. I obviously use Claude. There's no Dockers, no credit cards. It's all free, completely quick and easy to use, set up in a matter of minutes. Okay, so once you're up and running, this is kind of what it will look like originally. You've got a dashboard, inboxes, all that sort of stuff. And the good thing about this is if you've got more than one company, I've just set this up as one at the minute, you can add multiple companies here, all with different CEOs or different agents or however you want to do it. It can do that all for you, which is great. So I've set it up here and you can see you've got all these projects, all these agents, etc. Company organization, which I'm in here now, skills, costs, and I'll go through all of these in a little bit more detail so you can kind of get a feeling for it and see if there's something that will kind of work for you, which is great. Okay, so the first thing that I did was create a CEO agent. So that's arguably the CEO is probably the most important person in a company. So what I did is you click plus agent here. I won't do it now because I've already created my CEO, but then it's very self-explanatory. It asks you for a title and a description of what you want the kind of agent to do. So I selected obviously CEO, and then I give them a brief description and instructions. So here is the instructions that I gave it. So it basically gives you pretty much the same page as what it looks like when you create the agent. And then from there, the CEO's main job really is to A, understand the business, and then B, hire the team. So what I did was, through Claude Code, I said, here's all my businesses. Please do a full deep dive, understand the businesses, and then from there, please hire the team members that you recommend to basically run my business for me. So this is kind of what's been done in the background whilst I've been off doing other things. Okay, so this is task 1 effectively that I gave to the CEO, and that is to understand my business, Sintra Labs. So Sintra Labs has got 3 main pillars: Sintra Media, it's got Sintra Build, and it's got Sintra Automate. So within that, there's all sorts of kind of different products and processes that I've got, and I need it to understand. And I've built the vast majority of this through Claude Code, so this is why I wanted to use Claude Code to go with this. So it's given me basically a full plan of what it should do, what things are missing, all these sorts of things. So again, I won't go through this in massive detail because it's all on my business, but it gives you a really good lowdown, and you can add comments, speak to it backwards and forwards, etc., which is great. So that is step 1 done, and then based on that, it did obviously hire the full team. And then these are all the other tasks from 1 all the way through to 17 that it's done so far. And I give it a few test pieces just to kind of see if it picks up on things like API keys. I put those in one of those. Yeah, I put the API key and it reported an API leak, which is great. And there's a few things like Stripe payments, all that sort of stuff, which it's working through, which is good. So all these green ones are done, and then the red ones I've blocked because I don't want to actually make the changes on some of these. And they come through as your inboxes. So yeah, these literally come through live as you do it there and then, which is pretty cool. Okay, so I'll go through the agent section in a little bit more detail. We just touched upon it earlier. So this is the CEO again, and we'll go through kind of the dashboard itself, what it's doing, all that sort of stuff. And there's also recent issues, which is good. But it also has instructions in here. So obviously you've got the actual description you've kind of put in at the start, but there's also these MD files, and these basically tell it who it is and who owns it, what it does, all that sort of stuff. So each of those will be different. So if I go into an engineer one, again, this is a different one. It's got the MD file. And again, these will build and build the more you use it and the more you kind of instruction you give it. Again, I've been using this for a couple of days, so it's still quite basic at the minute, but it's already starting to do some really good work, so I'm quite happy with it so far. We've also got skills. So again, you can add these in so you can get some more skills from GitHub or whatever. These are Claude skills currently that I've got in here now, but you can add in all sorts of custom skills. Again, the more you add in, the more kind of use case the more you add in, and the more that it's kind of that you use personally. So I know a lot of people use different plugins for different things. So again, you can add these into here and really tailor this to kind of make the person or the engineer in this case as kind of accurate to what you would want it to be in real life. So this is your configuration. So again, you can change this from Claude to other kind of applications, and you can do some other minor changes in here as well. Yes, every run that's done, it gives you like a full dated timestamped script of what it's done. So that's really useful information if you need to refer back to it or debugging or whatever you may need to do, which is great. So it's done all sorts of stuff in here already, you can see. One great thing here that my engineer's done for me already was recognize that there was a missing Stripe payment link on one of my pages. So again, I've probably lost revenue from that already. So it's already picked up on that, made the changes, done it all for me. So now if people were on websites and clicking on these things, then they can actually make payments. So yeah, again, that's a massive thing for me. So I already kind of paid for itself in retrospect. Okay, so this is my goal section. So I've got 3 top tier goals in here at the minute, but I'm going to flush these out in more detail and add more sub goals into this. So the goals are kind of my overall, what the company big picture is trying to achieve. So I've got in here revenue operations. So again, it's already picked up on one as I just mentioned, which is get my Stripe payment on one of these, but I want to get all of my products revenue billable states, which is great. Content growth is next. So I've got this channel territory logic, which I've just started. Again, my main goal on this is to grow it and get it out there for people to see and use products that I'm doing and using. Platform stability. So I've got this intro alpha system, which is basically a full editing suite for YouTube creators or any content creators for that matter. It does all your long form editing, all your shorts, all that sort of stuff, all completely edited, done for you, no human input, etc. So I've got that currently live, but I want to scale that out to a bigger audience. So that's one of my key goals, to get that stabilized to I can scale it out to multiple clients. So yeah, this is how real companies work, having goals. And the good thing about this is every issue that you put into the system is tracked against your goals as well. So if an engineer fixes the Stripe issue, for example, it's tracked against the operations goal and the revenue goal, which is really good. So it all is neatly meshed in together, which is great. Okay, so I'm going to move on to routines here now. So I'm not actually putting any routines in now because I want to test this live with you now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through a actual live demonstration of how we create a routine here. And you can do it up here, I believe, by creating a routine. But what I'm going to do is actually ask my CEO to do it. And I'm going to create a new issue and do it that way and just see how well it operates. So you assign it to the CEO and we'll put it in. Let's just put no project for now. And let's give it a rough description. I've got these in there because I've already preloaded. Can you create me these routines? Put it down there. Let's just call it create routines. Priority, let's do high. No labels, no uploads at the minute. CEO in project. We haven't got a project. Okay, I don't think we need to add it to a project. No, okay. In fact, okay, so if I create that issue, there we go. Create routines is in there. It's running. So if you go onto the CEO now, you can see it's running, which is great. So we'll give that a few minutes and then we should hopefully come back and have some routines there. So one thing while it's running, I will show you the dashboard. So the dashboard basically gives you an overview of kind of everything that's been going on. So you can see the CEO currently is creating these routines for you. But you can see on the dashboard, this finished 20 minutes ago, 21 minutes ago, 21 minutes ago, etc. Yeah, it's really cool. Then if you move over to inbox, it'll say, it'll give you a bit more detail of what it's doing. So here's the routine, here's what I asked it to do. And then here's it starting to run through what it's doing right now, which is great. You can stop it. Obviously, you can open the run in more detail and go through the actual coding of it all. So yeah, it's just quite cool. So yeah, obviously this is run via Claude Code. So I'm pretty confident the output's going to be good. But the fact that the matter is this is kind of keeping it all in one centralized dashboard. Okay, so you can see now it's doing all sorts of stuff going on, which is great. And the best thing is really once these are kind of set up to do, they're done and dusted. So every day now, all my team are going to wake up effectively on their own and just get on with their daily tasks through these routines, which is really cool. I don't have to do anything for it. I don't have to remember to do anything for it. They'll wake up and start doing their daily tasks, which is really cool. Okay, so you can see the dashboard now that there's been all sorts of activity, which is great. Daily scans, monthly security scans, monthly strategic reviews, all of these are now being built, which is great. So yeah, we've got our routines kind of up and running. So now our company is effectively running itself, and I can just obviously add input here and there and go through all these things, but you can see all these agents are now live doing things, which is really cool. So yeah, above and beyond routines, Paperclip also has another thing which is called Heartbeat up here. So running Heartbeat effectively is something that Paperclip has built in, and it pings all your agents kind of every 30 seconds and says, what are you working on? Are you stuck? What's next? So effectively it's running your agents for you all the time. So you've got the daily routines, so it's always going to do these daily routines, but this is also pinging it to make sure it's also doing everything it should be doing throughout the day. So if you compare that to OpenClaw, so OpenClaw obviously blew up massively through its kind of Mac Minis. It can do all of these things for you kind of when you're not at your computer, all that sort of stuff autonomously. And Paperclip is taking that concept, added its own kind of twist to it, but it's also added kind of the structure behind it. So you've got a full company behind you, budgets, accountabilities, all that sort of stuff. So OpenClaw is kind of a worker for that. But Paperclip here is like an actual full-blown company, which is really cool. So we've kind of had a hive activity and it's still ongoing as we speak, which is great. So this is the issues hub and effectively tells you kind of what's to do, what's in progress, what's been done, and it gives you them kind of numerically organized for you, which is really, really cool. So you can see here, it assigns them to people, depending on who it needs to be. Everything's got a complete audit trail, who created it, who's assigned to, who's checking it out, when it was done, who reviewed it. It's got full accountability effectively on absolutely everything it does. So yeah, so I think kind of Paperclip here really is basically what happens when you give AI an office space to work in. This is kind of what you'll be looking at, which is I think quite a cool concept. Okay, so here routines have been set up, which is great, and also it's been encoded in Heartbeat logic. So as we talked about with Heartbeat, that's all done. So this is now completed, succeeded, which is great. We've now got all of these tasks ongoing every single day and also added into the Heartbeat logic. So what else we got in here? And these are all routines that we create as well. Great. Okie dokie. Okay, so moving on to costs. So everyone talks about costs when running these things, multiple APIs, all that sort of stuff. So this is kind of the cost tracking system. So as I'm using my account, there's no cost tracking in here. But if you're using Paperclip's own tokenology, then you will have that in here. But basically, it allows you to kind of set budgets for the overall project or the overall kind of business. And then you can also set up budgets for individual people. So to make sure the CEO doesn't kind of spend too much money, make sure content creation, all that sort of stuff. So you can track absolutely everything in here through cost perspective, which is really cool. So effectively it's treating each employee like an actual employee with a budget or a wage or whatever you want to do, however you want to set it up. And you can just make sure you're monitoring that quite well. Because I know, again, I use all sorts of Claude projects, I use all sorts of APIs, virtual servers, all this sort of stuff. And it is quite difficult to keep track of all of these things. I've got my own dashboards at the minute, but again, things do slip under the radar. So having this all in here per person, I think is a really useful feature. Okay, so I'm going to do another live demo here. So as it picked up my Stripe payment issue and has fixed the Stripe link now, which is great, what I want to do is update the full pricing page for this. So what I'm going to do is ask it to build brief pricing page with Stripe checkout. And then I'm just going to do a quick assign to engineer. Do it to Cortex brief. Priority can be high. And then I'll copy that description in there. Okay, so I'll create that issue. We'll go on to engineer, and he's already running, which is great. Okay, so what I'm going to do now actually is I'm going to give the media person a new task and effectively ask them to, I've not done any image generation or anything on this yet, so I want to try and see if it can create me kind of like a cool little text graphic of some sort for my YouTube channel, see what it comes up with. YouTube channel graph, let's do infographic. Okay, can you create me a, let's do Instagram, gram sized graphic for territory logic using the branding, logo, and aesthetics of the channel to create a viral image of, let's say, OpenAI cancelling Sora, which we know they have done recently, costing them billions. Let's see if it does it. It's too high because I want to get it done quickly. Let's see how that goes. I'll be interested to see how this works out because I've not done any sort of graphics design or anything like that on here, so it'd be quite cool to see how this runs. So we'll watch it run now. And it's starting to run the heartbeat, which is great. That's really nice to see that kicking in. And we'll see how this gets on. I imagine it will be in my inbox once it's done. But we'll see. Okay, so you can see here, checked out. The task is to create an Instagram-sized graphic about OpenAI cancelling Sora using territory logic branding. Let me explore the code base for brand assets. And now it's literally looking at the brand. Okay, this is quite cool. Hopefully it gives us something good for the video at least. Okay, so it's done the pricing page and Stripe checkout, which is cool. Perfect. Thank you very much. I could say comment, thank you very much, but I'm not going to. Channel infographic still going. So it's using DALL-E 3. Okay, we'll see how it turns out then. Oh, has it done it? There we go. I think it's done. Oh, there you go. Generated and saved. I wonder if we can open it. Let's see if I'll ask it if it can show me it here. If not, we'll have to go in there and get it, but there we go. Okay, not bad. I definitely would make some changes on this, but like text, I would probably change these texts and stuff, but it's got the overall, definitely got the overall colour scheme right. Feel of it, okay. Good little test there. Here it is. Nice. And it saved it for me in this area. Okay, so yeah, it's a nice little test, which is quite cool. Let's see if it's got it on here. Yeah, same thing. Oh, I did put it in there twice. Okay, I didn't realise. Okie dokes. Okay, so that's a quick run through from Paperclip, using it via Claude from what I've done so far. So as you'll probably see, I think it's a really nice tool. And again, I'm going to be using it more over the coming weeks to kind of build this out and make my team bigger, better, more detailed, running more smoothly, etc., which is great. But I think so far over the last few days, what it's done is kind of edited my full business suite, which is great. Given me paths to revenue. It's hired a full team for me. Fixed some things I didn't even realize needed fixing, which is great. Flagged some security issues, which again, I purposely put them in, but again, it's good that it's flagged it. Give me a full sprint plan, prioritize issues, goals, routines, heartbeats, kind of the list goes on, which is great. So within the last few days, I've gone from being like a solo founder to doing everything myself, to having literally an 8-person team behind me with goals, routines, all of that done literally in the space of an afternoon, which is really, really cool. So the question is this the future? And I think yes, it is. Not because AI is perfect. Everyone knows AI is not perfect. They're still working on all sorts of things, costs, hallucinations, all that sort of stuff. But I think the structure here is really good. I love the fact that everything's in one place at one time. I've tried dashboards myself a few times before, but it's very hard to get it right. So this is kind of taking a lot of that work away from me. And the fact that you can onboard your own people and get them to do things, talk to each other, all that sort of stuff, I think is a big thumbs up from me. The fact that it's free as well is amazing. It's open source. You can install it in literally 60 seconds. all that sort of great stuff. Yeah, it's really good. So again, I'll put a link in the description for this. Over the next week, I'll be stress testing this more, and I might do, if this gets a kind of a good amount of comments, views, clicks, all that sort of stuff, then I might do a follow-up video with kind of 2 weeks progress, all that sort of stuff, and see what else I found. So yeah, if you found that useful, please hit the subscribe button. Again, the channel is very new. Any subscriptions was really greatly appreciated. I'm trying to kind of get this content out there to a wider audience. And yeah, thank you very much. If you find it useful, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, comment, all that sort of good stuff. And yeah, feel free to use it yourself. Take your company from one person to multiple people, or scale your company up from multiple people to include AI agents working for you. Thank you very much.